Who's ready for the first actual dungeon in Mega Man Legends 2? I know I am. Now, I mentioned that this island is basically a sandbox. Well, as you can tell, I have completely lied. It's a snowfield! But seriously though, this upcoming area, it has like a ton of little interactions you can perform. Oh, and I showed my buster parts, which I have equipped now. We have a power razor and a rapid fire. Anyways, this area has a bunch of neat little things you can do in it. Some of which may be a little distasteful depending on how you look at it. For example, you can run over the bunnies. There are snow bunnies out here for some reason. I never knew rabbits liked snowy environments, but I could be wrong. Yeah, I've been wrong about a lot of biological, animal-related things. You can also pick up the bunnies, and even better, you can throw the bunnies! And you can damage roll in this section. Wow, she went down with just one bunny to the face? That is one powerful bunny. Beware the killer rabbits! No, I wasn't aiming at you, even though I was facing you and you saw me throw it directly at you. But you'll believe me, right? You'll also believe me if I say the same thing after shooting you a bunch. Yeah, the idea here is that there are going to be Reaverbots popping out of the ground when we cross the bridge. But, yeah, and you're supposed to protect Roll from them, but you can also damage her yourself. And she's taking a lot of punishment. It took like a ton of buster shots to get her to fall down like she did after getting hit by the one bunny. And you can also try to pick her up, but she's not exactly having it. So, this does affect something later on in the game. The game actually tracks not only the Mega Man's karma, like the karma system from Legends 1 comes back, but it doesn't track only what the people think of you, it also tracks what Roll thinks of you, and I'm kind of making her hate me quite a bit with all this trying to grab her and pick her up. I forget if it's actually possible to, in fact, pick her up, and also the bunny ran into me. But yeah, I would advise players to not do this too much because it can have very lethal results. She killed me. She actually killed me! Tough love, anyone? Yeah, this is what a game over looks like if you were wondering. I don't think I showed a game over at all in Legends 1, but it's basically the same thing. Okay, so let's reload our save, pretend all of that never even happened, and actually get out to the ruins. So anyways, I mentioned that the Reaverbots now pop out of the ground. This is a new thing. Anytime you get close to a ruin, in some areas of the game, the Reaverbots can actually pop out of the snow or the ground. They're getting pretty aggressive now. Because, like, that didn't happen at all in Legends 1. But I'm gonna pick up the bunny because the bunny is a one-hit kill on the Reaverbots as well. So, we just follow the little tracks here. This ruin is actually very interesting because it's a mine, but when they started digging through the mine, they discovered more ruins. Which is actually pretty interesting. And you know it's ruins with Reaverbots in it because of the Reaverbots, which failed to appear the entire time I was in that snowfield. Come on, you guys! How did I not get any of those? Were they just random encounters? Alright, so you're supposed to follow Roll, but I'm actually going to take a slight detour because if you explore the ruins, there are goodies to find. And I may as well take this opportunity to talk about my Buster Gun, because the Buster has been changed a little bit in Legends 2. In Legends 1, you notice that when you fire a couple shots, Mega Man has to stop for a moment and cool down. That's no longer there in Legends 2. The energy stat would normally tell you how many shots you can fire before you have to cool down, but that changed in Legends 2. Now you can fire as many as you want. Instead, the energy stat now determines... This guy is being annoying. The energy stat now determines how many shots can be on the screen at once. And that's a problem because it actually breaks the Buster quite a bit because, you know, normally, you know, a lot of the time in Legends, you're pretty close to whatever you're shooting at. So, if the limitation is on how many shots can be on screen, and, you know, you're constantly shooting at an enemy, like, when is there ever going to be more than 3 shots on screen anyways? The energy stat has been rendered completely useless unless you're firing at extremely long range, and there's never really any fights that require long range. And stutter shots, like the stutter shot technique, I'm going to show that off too. It becomes incredibly powerful because of this change to the Buster gun. So yeah, the Buster wasn't exactly balanced very well, and the Power Razor we got is actually going to be the only Buster part that increases attack power for quite a while. Also, I didn't mention it, but Roll can apparently sense where the Reaver bots are in her head because she doesn't seem to have any form of radar equipment on her as she's come with us. Which is why it's strange for Roll to actually go out on a dig with Mega Man, because, you know, normally I assume that in the Flutter she'd have all that radar equipment to assist us with. Anyhow, we just saw a new enemy type. This is, I like to call this the Barrier Reaver Bot because it tries to make a wall to block your path. And later variations of this Reaver Bot can shoot a very annoying projectile that homes in on you. So there are a couple chests in this dungeon, but I'm not really going to pick up anything except for 2. The one I picked up earlier, and this, the old hover jets. If you don't know what that makes, you haven't been paying attention to the Legends 1 LP. But anyways, the other chests, oh, these guys are going to be annoying. They're very quick, so I have to, like, locking on isn't exactly working for trying to throw them at each other. So the other chests in this area just contain, like, useless chunks of Zenny. Like, all of the Zenny from chests in this dungeon totals under 1,000. And that's a really small drop in the bucket compared to how much money I get off of, like, just one enemy. I think just off of one enemy I get, like, 500 Zenny anyways. It's worth noting that the licenses that you can get, they don't change how much each refractor is worth, but they do change what kind of refractors the enemy drops. So with an S license, like, even on very hard mode, they give you the highest grade of license there. That causes a lot more Zenny crystals to drop, but, like, they're all worth half the usual amount on hard mode or lower. Alright, so we found the guy. I have no idea how he got past all the Reaver bots. I guess he just punched people with that giant arm of his. But it looks like he's not doing so well. He passed out and is still slumped up against that wall. Like, almost standing, in fact. That's very odd. Yeah, I had to try jumping through the barrier. I know. And you saw that head damage is still in. The amount of damage that you get, like, if Mega Man hits his head on the ground. And since you start with the jump springs, you know, it's very easy for that to happen now if you jump too high. So yeah, this boss, this is the first real boss of the game. He has a couple of attacks. Ramming into you is not one of them. That was very unfortunate to have that happen. So he can punch the ground, he can also swing his arms around, but his weak point is his rear end, so you will want to get around and shoot him there. And you can see I'm using the starter shot here. Even though shooting him in the butt gives him invincibility frames, there's a chance that the game will count 2 shots against his butt at once, and that's worth a lot of damage. It's really faster to just shoot him in the butt than anywhere else. So yeah, not really a difficult boss. He's able to destroy parts of the environment. You can see that some of the little cubes and pillars and stuff are destroyed. That doesn't really affect anything, but for some reason, if he destroys one of the walls, or like one of the pillars or blocks, then it will stay permanently destroyed for the rest of the game if you decide to come back in here for whatever reason. And Roll's here too. How did she get past all of the Reaver bots I didn't destroy? That was, like, was she just following the trail of deceased Reaver bots? Apparently she has a radar in her head, so I guess she took whatever path I did. But still, that was... what is she even doing down here? There's no point to it. So yeah, we gotta get the refractor. If anyone asks, Mega Man saved the day here as usual. Now luckily we teleport back to town. We don't have to exit the dungeon manually. You had to exit like every dungeon manually in Legends 1. So anyways, as I was saying, Roll's diary entry for this chapter of the game changes depending on what happened in the snowfield with her. The best result, of course, is getting her through the mission without her getting damaged by the Reaver bots at all, or in my case, not having any Reaver bots appear at all. Sure is weird to have Roll describing the bravery of Mega Man defending her from the Reaverbots if none actually appeared when you actually went out there. But trust me, Reaverbots can pop out of the ground out there. Yeah. So anyways, Joe is going to give us his dropship, which saves us the trouble of building one, and we got a refractor from the ruins, which is probably what he was out there to get anyways. It still is pretty convenient for him to have a already built dropship ready to go, and to have the blueprint for it right there on his desk. Yeah, I wonder where he got it from. It seemed very odd that both Roll and this guy would have 2 copies of the same dropship schematic. I mean, the dropship is an invention of Roll's parents. So, you know, put 2 and 2 together. I got nothing. So let's head up to the Flutter. Because as soon as you get out of the hospital, Roll has the dropship already loaded and ready to go. She is fast on her feet, I'll tell you that much. Yeah, so we can get to Forbidden Island now. We're going to recklessly land on the dangerous island that many have supposedly died in. Not only that, Roll herself wants to be the one to explore the island. Even though Mega Man has already proven that he can't fly the Flutter at all. Roll, you seem to have it backwards here. Mega Man is the main character with the Buster and the gun and the best means of defending himself. I have no idea what that was all about. I know she's worried about her grandfather, but let's be real here. Okay, so it costs 2,000 zenny to repair the living room that was damaged by the fire. It'll cost more if you didn't save data in time. And I'm going to take a moment to develop the jet skates. Yeah, always gotta have those. It's not Mega Man Legends without the jet skates. Unfortunately, we won't be able to see what's in the living room until it gets fully repaired, so we'll have to wait for that. So as you can see, there is now a world map, and you can land on different islands throughout the rest of the game, but there's only one destination for us.
Are you ready, Mega Man?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Hold hatch open. Releasing docking clamp. Dropship away!
Now, is it just me, or does the dropship kind of remind me of the AI pod from Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker? I'll save the Metal Gear references. So, when you land the dropship, you can actually get back in and use a balloon to float back up to the Flutter. Like a Fulton recovery system. Which kind of diminishes the danger of landing on the island since you can just fly right back out. I mean, all somebody needs to explore the island successfully is a dropship and a buster gun for defending yourself.
Here you roll. I'm okay.
Good. If you want to come back to the Flutter, just get into the dropship, okay? Alright then. Let's try and find Gramps' ship. It looks like it's drifting. I'm getting a reading north of your position. When you're ready, try heading north and see what you can find.
You're telling me they haven't crashed yet? That's very strange. So, in case you're wondering why we didn't just land in the center of the island, if you get back in the dropship and go back up to the Flutter and then come back, Roll mentioned that the dropship gets blown off course in the same fashion every time you land. So, yeah. So these are the jet skates. They can now jump off of edges of cliffs and stuff like that. Very cool. So this is another new enemy type. It's exclusive to this island, so take a picture. This is the only time you'll ever see it. They are bunny-shaped Reaverbots that can be grabbed and thrown. They've got a pretty mean projectile that shoots pretty quickly. They've got a little bit more life than I would like, so I'm just going to not spend time killing them and just jet past them. It's pretty easy to jet past a lot of stuff. And it won't be long before we find the first mini-boss of this island. Oh, actually, there's these first.
I'm picking up something. It looks like human life signs, but I'm not sure. We can come back and check it out later. For now, let's just keep looking for Gramps' ship.
Well, you're pretty calm about the fact that there might be a person trapped in ice and still alive if you're still getting the human life sign reading. Very weird.
What is it? Do you see something? I'm not picking up anything.
A dropship. Very interesting. And who could the woman be? Actually, we are not supposed to figure that out yet. So I mentioned that there was a mini-boss pretty early in.
It looks like there's a person or something up ahead. But how could
It's not this, by the way. This isn't the mini-boss. It's actually a giant Reaver bot. Shouldn't Roll be able to tell that this is a Reaver bot? I mean, doesn't her radar say where the Reaver bots are? Yeah, Roll's radar is very selective about when it wants to work. Anyways, I'm just going to jet past these two. They're not that difficult to kill, though. I mean, I don't know why you would bother trying to kill them unless you really need some extra money. So here's where the mini-boss is. You can tell because a barrier suddenly pops up to trap you. Ladies and gentlemen, brace yourselves for the world's most dangerous mini-boss. The robotic Reaverbot Staple Remover.
Reaverbot, closing in on you fast.
Thank you, Roll. I can see it right in front of me as it crashes into me. So this Reaverbot isn't really difficult to deal with. It can be actually a little bit tedious because... Oh, ouch. He got me there. You just gotta stay a little bit away from him and you know, just circle strafe him and you'll hit him a couple times as he jumps past you. If you're really advanced, you can pile on the hits by staying behind him wherever he goes. But that risks you getting hit. Like right there, that was very close. I think he missed me by a couple of pixels. Or maybe running towards him and just to the left of him is the ideal strategy. Because you'll already be out of his jumping range by the time he's initiated his jump attack. Anyhow, that's not a difficult Reaverbot at all. He didn't even drop that much money. I'm not even sure why they dedicated an entire mix of the Forbidden Island theme to that mini-boss. But the Legends series really loves to give every individual boss, mini-boss, etc. its own theme. So that's pretty cool. So these Reaverbots pop out of the ground like they would have back in that snowfield earlier if I wasn't unlucky, or lucky, I guess. I recommend picking one up.
Close by. Watch out.
Oh, you mean the one I'm holding, Roll? No, actually, she's referring to these mammoth Reaverbots under the snow. They pop out and attack you, but if you throw a Reaverbot at them, they die instantly. Not that you need to throw a little Reaverbot at them to kill them, because you can see that I'm stutter shooting here, and it's actually very easy to destroy them. Maybe they just didn't design the game around the stutter shot, so let's see if we can destroy this one before he even has a chance to move. Okay, he got a tiny little move there. And you are supposed to destroy those because if you don't, then this barrier here will still be up. I still don't know how these barriers all disappear when the Reaverbots have been destroyed. You'd think that they would just stay up permanently, depending on what's powering them, but... you know, video game logic. I mean, there are a bunch of sealed-off areas that should presumably stay sealed. And where were those mammoth Reaverbots coming from? Like, out of the wall? Or up the slope? Like, an infinite number of them can come down there. And what is Data doing here? How did Data get here? He wasn't in the dropship at all. He just magically teleports to the place right before the boss. And I give up. You know, it's best not to question Data teleporting everywhere, but it's a good thing that they put a save point right before this boss, because this upcoming boss is a real tough one.
Gramps' ship yet? According to my readings, it should be somewhere close by.
We have a giant crystal thing. That's the boss. No, I'm just kidding. The giant crystal thing is actually invincible. And I don't think it's actually visible once the boss battle starts, but if you just examine this crystal thing...
Mega Man, what did you do? I'm picking up a massive energy surge. I think it might be a giant Reaverbot.
Oh, you think?
Out of there, Mega Man! Mega Man! Mega Man, can you hear me?
I have no idea why the transmission cuts there. There's really no reason for it. It doesn't affect anything. Okay, so this boss, the giant mammoth Reaverbot as I call him, you may have noticed by now that I don't have a special weapon. One of the reasons this boss is so difficult is because look at the size of that health bar. There is no special weapon that actually does any damage available by this point, so there's no way to increase your damage output but to equip the Power Razor and the Rapid Fire. Actually, there is a special weapon available. It's the vacuum arm. Yeah, you tried taking a vacuum against this thing. So the reason this guy is so difficult is that he's always close to you. Like, I try circle strafing him a lot, but he actually does a very good job of getting close to me. And he can fire projectiles from his trunk. That is actually very difficult to avoid later on in the fight. You'll notice that the trunk, if I shoot the trunk, it does more damage. Yeah, that's important for for getting this to not last as long as forever. So avoiding the rocks shooting from the trunk is difficult. Every so often he'll jump in the air and create a shockwave. If you're far enough from it, you'll be fine, but jumping also makes you safe. And he can also fire the butt laser. When he fires the butt laser, that's the signal that you're in the second phase of the fight. Now the projectiles from his trunk have a bigger spread and are harder to avoid. And you've also got to worry more about colliding with him. And the butt laser is actually a really difficult attack to avoid. It seems like it's easy to just jump, like, while circle strafing him, but you're eventually going to get caught if he's very far away from you when he fires the laser, for example. And I guess, since ramming into him doesn't seem to do much damage, if you're that worried about taking a hit, you might as well just ram into him for the invincibility frames. So yeah, length is definitely a big part of this boss's difficulty. And on very hard, the damage is actually so very high that survivability becomes a problem too. On hard, this is actually pretty okay. Oh, and here comes the butt laser again. So now he's actually going to shoot that far more often because we're in the third phase of the fight now. And it's at this point that the laser is actually harder to avoid now, so it's a good idea to try and tumble dodge away from the laser instead of just circle strafing him. And, you saw that projectile almost hit me. Yeah, that's how big the spread of it is. So yeah, I'm sure there's some very easy way to handle this, but this boss has stumped me for quite a while. Like, on earlier playthroughs, it actually takes multiple attempts. Well, it took me multiple attempts, rather, to beat this guy. So that's why I'm glad that the save point is where it is. Good on Capcom for realizing that this boss was actually pretty tough. Although I almost thought I had found an AI loop, but now I have to use the energy canteen, so good that I bought it. So this shouldn't take much longer now. I'm pretty confident that I can get rid of the rest of his health. It takes quite a bit of damage from the Buster, relative to how much health he has. So yeah. That boss is dead, and now we have a cutscene.
The storm. It stopped.
How did destroying that Reaver bot stop the storm? And how have they not crashed? Yes, sometimes you just don't want to ask questions.
Oh, has it finally stopped? Oh, I thought we were goners for sure.
You're getting old, Beryl. That was nothing. Look at me. I'm fine.
Show off. For all that money you spent on it, you'd think this flying wash tub of yours would have held up better.
Well, accidents happen. If we were ready for them, we wouldn't call them accidents, would we?
Yeah, we would call them mistakes.
How come those old fogies are so chipper, huh? My stomach feels like it's been through a washing machine spin cycle.
Diesel, look!
You guys can see this from all the way up there? Where are the windows on that ship?
Huh?
And the reward for all of this is a naked lady. I'm not kidding. I have no idea how they got away with this. The woman is wearing absolutely nothing. Oh my goodness. No, please don't show us that. Oh my, oh my. Mega Man, stop gawking at her.
Well, that's done it. They woke her up.
The Carbons have decided their own fate. This is because they've activated Mistress Sarah. You've done enough for them, Mistress Yuna. You are required to relinquish the keys to her.
No, it's not enough. Why did the Master entrust that purifier unit with his genetic code? It was his job to hunt down and eliminate all aberrant units. So why did he become the greatest aberrant of all? There are still too many unanswered questions.
Mistress Yuna, surely you have enough information to arrive at a conclusion.
Think, Gats. What if the Carbons, which the Master loves so dearly, were more important than the Master's system? What then?
What? The chances of such a possibility being true are non-existent.
Are they? How can you be so sure? Uh-oh, we better get out of here.
Agreed.
Yeah, this scene is kind of techno-babbly, but all will be explained in time. A very long time, but still.
It appears that Miss Yuna still does not intend to give you access to the keys, Mistress Sarah.
What is she thinking? Her logic is as mysterious as was the Master's. You know what you have to do.
Yes, the directive of this unit is ensuring your safety.
Very well. One of the Carbon's ships. We must first recover the keys to the library. We can acquire and deal with the Master's genetic code sample afterward.
Understood.
You know, I never realized how much that camera angle teases us with the lady's, never mind.
What gives? How come we end up stuck in here?
Think about it, Teasel. Do you think they're just going to have a press conference with what's happened?
And what was that blue fellow doing there anyway? I don't like it enough one bit. One thing's for sure, I'll get him this time or my name's not.
Shh! I'm picking something up.
Oh, thank goodness she's clothed.
So what you're saying is, if you have possession of these 4 keys, we can unlock the Mother Lode and save Mistress Sarah. Is that it?
Correct. We are from the past, your ancestors. We are in a world we never made. We mean no harm. We simply desire to live out the rest of our lives as best we can. Of course, your troubles will be rewarded. With the keys, you will have access to technology that has long been lost to you. You would have the ability to make all the refractors you need.
I understand. Leave finding the keys to us. We are not the only ones searching for the Mother Lode. For your safety, I recommend that you stay here on the ship.
Speak of the devil.
Ah! Why, were you spying on me?
I thought we were supposed to be allies, aren't we?
We're a unified front, a team. We won't let you hold out on us. Unified front? There's only 2 of you!
Ah, but they are veterans, remember, Teasel. Not like some people I know who think the more people you have working for you, the better you are.
Oh, and what about you?
Now, Teasel, the more the merrier, right? Don't get so upset. We can dump them anytime we want.
I guess you're right. All right, then, let's get this show on the road. What we need to do is split up and take over any town that's got a large ruin nearby. Then, we explore the ruins and find these keys. All right, boys. Look sharp. Let's go.
I'll see you around.
Come in, Bola. We've got work to do. Those 2 really get on my nerves.
Pirates on the move already? That complicates matters.
Oh, stop it. You can't fool me.
Is it that obvious?
Don't you think you're getting too old for playing around with pirates?
Find Mega Man. Bring him here.
Yes, sir.
You're not going to drag them into your escapades again, are you?
Well, I just want to talk to them. They'll get involved with or without me.
My.
Mr. Mega Man, sir. Mr. Blucher would like to see you.
You know, it's interesting how none of them seem to notice that that guy who was with that girl has a Reaverbot eye on his forehead. So anyway, the music that's playing right now is Spring by Antonio Vivaldi, another classical tune for the pile. It was supposed to actually be playing during that cutscene earlier, but in the US version it doesn't play. In the Japanese version it does. It's a really weird change, so I guess they thought the music would cover up the voice acting. So anyways, we're going to have a talk with these two fine gentlemen, and they lampshade the fact that Mega Man has accomplished everything that they were trying to do, and a lot of other people were trying to do, in like 30 years. It is kind of strange how Mega Man does so much more than anybody here seems to be able to, but considering certain plot revelations, I guess it's not that, unusual. I don't know what the word is. So yeah, you can't say no to them. You have to go on this little quest to find the keys to the Motherlode. You know, what's strange is that nobody seems to have ever done any digging on the islands we're about to go to in order to find the keys. I mean, they wouldn't know that the keys were there, but somebody's got to try going down there and finding the keys, wouldn't they? Yeah, eavesdropping isn't cool, Roll. But I guess I can't really complain. So there are a couple of Zenny caches and items that you can find on this ship, some of which are actually very important for the coming dungeons. We'll just rummage around these boxes and steal all of their heavy-duty gears, all of their Zenny, and all of their machine guns. This ship is more dangerous than it looks. Mega Man, if machine guns are dangerous, then you're a downright loose cannon considering the shining laser you used to wield. Yeah. So there are a couple of funny things inside the boxes. These chests just have some Zenny. Zenny's kind of important, because this early in the game you don't get a whole lot of it, but yeah, white powder. What did you think it was, Mega Man? What did you think it was? So conveniently, there's a junk shop in this place. And there are a couple of development items we can buy. Those are going to be very important later. And I guess I shouldn't really buy any more parts because what I've got right now is fine. We could increase our Buster damage to 3 instead of just 2, and there's upgraded armor available as well. Now, unlike in Legends 1, where you had to buy each and every armor upgrade in order to unlock the next one, here you can just wait for the most expensive armor piece and buy that directly. Very nice. I'm going to try and get through the game without any armor or life upgrades, because I'm a crazy person like that. Alright, so that's everything I need to take care of on the ship, so we will just save our game and then head off to the first of the 4 islands that have the keys to the Motherlode.